Thank you, Chairman Engel. Let me first start off by joining the other members of this committee in praising you for your many decades of service and for your leadership on this committee. It is an honor to serve with you on the House Foreign Affairs Committee. I rise in support of this important legislation by Representative Bass. And let me tell you a story. First of all, this issue of the lack of diversity is a bipartisan issue. It's occurred in both Democratic and Republican administrations. And in my first term in Congress, I was on a CODEL with Nancy Pelosi and other members, and we were going to China. And we had a briefing by multiple agencies prior to our trip. We visited different places and met with very high-ranking officials in China. At the briefings that we had here in the U.S. prior to the trip, there were about a dozen people in the room from these different agencies. Not a single one of them was Asian American. And it occurred to me halfway through the meeting that this is probably not good when you have the top level people in our federal government working on the issue of China and everybody look exactly the same. I think there might be some expertise that does not occur when that happens, that the U.S. loses on. And so I wholeheartedly support Representative Bass's diversified State Department. After this bill becomes law, I think we also need to simply change the culture at the State Department and change some other rules and regulations. There was an important hearing done last week where we had two State Department officials. This was a hearing that Representative Castro chaired and Representative Cicely mentioned. And what we do know is from surveys done by, for example, the Asian American group at the State Department, assignment restrictions hamper our foreign service officers. And so some of them, for example, simply will not be assigned to different countries or high profile countries just because of who they are. And so I asked a very simple question of these two State Department officials. I said, if you're Russian American, does that mean you're not allowed to work in Russia or work on Russian issues? Or if you're Chinese American, or you barred from working on issues related to China? They could not answer that question. First of all, it's illegal. You can't do that. You cannot discriminate against any federal employee based purely on their ethnicity. So the state just has to stop doing that. And if there are assignment restrictions based on factors that may cause, for example, national security risk, they've got to be valid. So I think there needs to be a wholesale change to the State Department. This has been going on for far too long in both Democratic and Republican administrations. I, for example, am no less American than Chairman Engel. I'm also no more American than Chairman Engel. We're all Americans, and the State Department needs to treat its foreign service exactly the same way. We're all Americans who should be treated that way. I wholeheartedly support Representative Bass's comments, and I just have to end tonight saying how last night's comments by the President of the United States were utterly disgraceful when he somehow said an immigrant member of Congress how she was running our country. Well, guess what? We're all Americans. We're all trying to run our country the best that we can. I yield back.